I'm going to talk about CI/CD. I'm Kevin. I've been working at Codemagic for the last 5 years as a solutions engineer, which means I try and help people set up CI/CD workflows. And over that time, I've come up with a big list of useful tips that I'm going to share with you. It's the first speech or talk of the season, so I'm a little bit rusty, so please forgive me. I've done a major brain dump, and I've got about 42 slides. I don't think I've got 42 minutes, so let's try and reduce this down to about 30 minutes and see how it goes. So, useful tips for building and publishing apps. So, just a quick reminder about CI/CD. I'm not going to read through all of these, but the essentials are things like giving faster feedbacks to devs, making sure we're not tying up local resources, using the cloud to build your apps and publish them, having other people update your hardware, making sure that engineers like the ones at Codemagic are updating OSs and patching systems, giving you the ability to work as a team better, allowing you to scale up effectively, all kinds of good things. So I've divided it into 4 sections. I know the first one's configuration tips, and I know one of them's about Apple. We'll see what the others are when we get there. So tip number 1, we work with YAML configuration a lot of the time. And by the way, a lot of the tips that I'm going to give you are generic. They're not specifically related to Codemagic, although I will put in a few about Codemagic because I work there. One of the biggest things that I tell people is don't try and struggle on your own. Make use of sample templates, copy somebody else's examples, use ChatGPT. It's all right, but it's not great. I'd be aware of it hallucinating and giving you incorrect YAML configurations, so probably stick with the docs. Should have put that in there. And be aware of how to do basic shell scripting, because that's going to be a large part of what you do with any CI/CD setup. You can also use things like Python and other things like that, but majority of the time it's Bash or shell script. So when it comes to Bash, know what your quotes do, whether you're expanding things or if it's just single quotes. You're going to be literal outputs using variable expansion. You need to use double quotes. I think most of the people starting with CI/CD make this mistake over and over, and they don't know why things aren't working as expected. So I would recommend getting familiar with how it works. So here's some other examples, how to do a command expansion and using double quotes and backslashes for escaping special characters. Again, if you're not sure, just use ChatGPT. It's great. When I started 5 years ago, it was a bit different story, but yeah, we've got the resources there now. YAML can get a bit long and verbose. One great tip is to use something called anchors and aliases. So it's along the concept of not repeating yourself, basically. So you can set up sections in your YAML file with your definitions and make use of the ampersand and then reuse your section using an asterisk here. So in this particular example, I've got some scripts and I'm just calling it again there. It's a great thing to use. You can look it up online and get some really good examples. Same thing with mappings, whole blocks that you can just reuse with the backward chevrons. Let's put it that way. Whatever they're called. Of course, when YAML gets too big, then why not just bung things into a shell script and use them from your repository? Lots of our customers do that. They don't want to have massive YAML files, so they just add another directory into their repo. Don't forget to chmod your script, otherwise it won't work. So that's another top tip. Also, when it comes to working with YAML, there's people set up their own CLIs and templates, especially if they're agencies and they are creating lots of new apps. And even recently, some of our own customers have set up their own. We've got Codica, who've set up a Flutter CLI that sets up the CI pipeline. It sets up Flutter projects. We've got another customer in Belgium called Proximus, and they've got something called CIDI CLI that sets up a Codemagic YAML for you, so you don't even have to think about it too much. You can also use our APIs And these guys use them in conjunction with their own CLI to add variables and set up the app in Codemagic. The API is a very powerful thing. Talking of the API, another top tip, when you're doing anything like white labeling or local testing, or we've got customers doing low-code app builders, or even incorporating their existing Jenkins system and using something like Codemagic as their mobile build, they will trigger the builds via the API. You can pass in a JSON payload with any variables you want to include, and you can set software versions like the Xcode version and whatever else you want to set. So again, the powerful API. Okay, talking about variables and secrets, I've included this thing about base 64. So this is massive confusion for people, especially when they're just starting out. Do I need to base 64 encode a file or not? My top tip is to use less, which should be available on your Mac or Linux system. Put less and then your file name, and then it will say something like, this may be a binary file. If it's a binary file, encode it. If it's not, you don't need to encode it. You can probably just copy the contents of the file, add it into your CI system, and then use it as a secret there. Oh, we're on to the next section. Build optimization. And we're doing good for time as well. Feel the need for speed. If anybody familiar with Top Gun, we're obsessed with speed when we're working with CI/CD. We love it. We've come to the Apple Silicon generation of machines. When I first started, we were on Apple Intel machines. When the first Mac Mini came along, it was phenomenal. We got 50% speed increase. We were working with the Mac Pros and the Mac Mini Intels. We've deprecated these at Codemagic. We're now using Mac Mini M2 as the default, and we're rolling out, or have rolled out, Mac Mini M4s, Mac Mini M4 Pro. We've got customers using Mac Studio M2s, which, even though it's an older generation, they're really, really quick. And we're looking at rolling out those Mac Studio M4s when they become available to us. So, yeah, I can't give you a promised date on that, but they will be coming. Interesting things. So, Xcode benchmark. So, I've got rid of this one. We used to do the Xcode benchmark in about 5 minutes. And I'm starting from here in my speed comparison. So Mac Mini M2 will do Xcode benchmark in about 4 minutes 23. We've improved the speed of that by 38% with the Mac Mini M4 Pro. So really, really good to have fast machines and get fast feedback and, you know, not wasting time. Another thing that can help with speeding up your builds is caching dependencies. So most systems will allow you to do this some way or another. You normally just define the paths that you want to cache, and then on your next build, it will just grab it from the local storage rather than rebuilding everything. One other great trick, especially for people doing white labeling, would be to use cloud storage. Lots of our customers use Amazon S3 or Google Cloud Platform. They'll run their workflow, and then they'll either, well, most of the time they'll be downloading stuff. So it could be image assets, icons, whatever else, rather than having lots of stuff in your repo, which when you clone it, the bigger it is, it's going to take a longer time to clone. So if you've got 1,000 customers that you're white labeling for, you don't want it all in your repository. Grab the assets from storage as you need them. Just speed things up nicely for you. Right. Separate your workflows. I've got a few ideas here. Lots of our customers do different things. So main things I'll do is have a separate iOS workflow, separate Android workflow, especially if this one fails, you don't want to mess up the other one, so just do them separately. Have a testing workflow, and then a publishing workflow that goes to App Store and Google when you're ready for it. Okay, talking about nested virtualization. So, you know, I'm tired. I think I'm having one of those blank moments. I think what I was trying to get to here is the fact that, oh yeah, so it's probably about testing. That's what it is, right? Virtual devices. All CI providers use virtual machines, and if you're running iOS simulators or Android emulators, iOS simulators, a virtual device running in a virtual machine is going to be relatively slow. It does what it needs to do. It does your end-to-end tests, UI tests. But realistically, if you want best performance, you can upload your IPA to a device farm like Amazon or Firebase and get results back from your tests much quicker and probably on a wider range of devices as well. So just another tip. Parallel builds is another great thing. I talk about white label apps a lot. I've dealt with a lot of customers doing this. So one big example we had not so long ago was a customer who was doing 153 builds, took 13 minutes per build, which equated to 33.1 hours if they ran all of those. Basically, throw some more horsepower at it. So you can get down to about 6.6 hours with 5 concurrencies, 10 concurrencies, 3.3 hours. Concurrencies meaning parallel machines or machines that can run at the same time. Makes a massive difference. Yep. That was on M2 machines as well. So just think how much quicker it's going to be now on the about 38% quicker on M4 Pros. Right. Just a simple tip. People installing custom software from Homebrew for Mac OS, there's certain flags you can set. So tell it not to run the auto update is a great tip. Tell it not to turn the logging on. Might marginally speed things up. Biggest one's the no update. Just a little tip there. This one, I've put this in because we get this quite a lot with people building Android apps, especially if they're doing code obfuscation with ProGuard or DexGuard. Seems that somewhere along the line, Gradle became a lot more resource intensive. So we've got a little thing here. Allocate more memory to this, or using this environment variable called Java tool options, and putting this little squiggly thing in here that says XMX5G. It just allocates that 5 gig of memory, and it seems to resolve the problem there. This is a Codemagic specific one. So we call it asynchronous processing. So when you do something like run a build and you want to add release notes, you actually have to wait for Apple to say that your build's there before you can upload your release notes. What we do with Codemagic is we will run the build. We will obviously upload the binary. And then what we do is we offload the process to another machine, which frees up your Mac resource. And then when we get the callback from Apple saying, yeah, everything's there, our other machine uploads the release notes for you. But in the meantime, you could use your machines for building other apps. So it's a great way of saving time or speeding things up. And we're doing for time. I've lost track, but we'll just keep going. Are we good? Let's go. Debugging. Before you get anywhere near CI, just do it on your local machine. Make sure your scripts work. Because otherwise, you're going to be wasting so much time. It's hard to like get to that point, but obviously you need to get to running it on CI. But use tools that are available when you do get onto the machine. So remote SSH access, you can use the terminal to access the CI machine. Rerun commands on that machine. Check directories that you expect to be there are there. Check the files that you think are created are there. It just gives you a really easy way just to connect into that machine and make sure things are working as expected. Alternatively, you've got VNC access, which gives you GUI access to your CI machine. Useful if you want to open up Xcode and prod around. Maybe you want to see what's happening on the iOS simulator. So most CI providers give you this kind of access, so make use of it. Gathering build logs. You can gather things like the Xcode build logs. Most CI providers won't just put it into the generic or general build logs, so you can just gather it as an artifact, look through it and see what's going wrong in your Xcode builds. Final one, I think, in this section is don't be a hero. Get help from other people. Use the available messaging platforms like Discord and Slack that your providers give you. AI tools, ChatGPT or whatever else is the best at the minute. Forums, and even contacting formal support channels to get help. Don't give yourself a CI headache. Right, App Store tips. Top tip, solve 90% of code signing issues. Get your bundle identifier right, because that's probably the biggest culprit in any of these issues, is just setting it wrong in Xcode and thinking, oh, why is it not working? Make sure you selected the correct distribution certificate when you created your provisioning profile. And then make sure you select the correct type of provisioning profile type. So if you're publishing it up to App Store Connect, guess what? Use App Store. If you want to use Firebase app distribution, then use ad hoc. Pretty much that's the simplest way to remember it. This one crops up with newbies over and over and over. They're trying to publish to the App Store and they get this message popping up saying missing compliance. Ooh. Basically, it's Apple's way of saying that you haven't declared whether you are or aren't using encryption in your application. Just needs this lovely short plist entry. Sets true or false depending on whether you're using encryption or not. Privacy manifest, that came in not too long ago. It's basically declaring what type of data is collected by your app and what SDKs you're using and why you're using certain APIs. It's a pain to do it. Probably the easiest thing to do is go over to this. I've got no affiliation. I'm not receiving any commission. Go to privacymanifest.dev and then just fill it in on the web and then it's ready to go. Another one related to test flights. Normally when you push something up to test flight, you'll get this ready to submit. If you don't ever want to have that situation, like you've got a team of devs and somebody goes, oh yeah, I'm ready to submit it, you can actually build it with a custom export flag saying test flight internal testing only. And this will only ever be available in testing. So it just prevents you from accidentally submitting it to Apple and making an idiot of yourself. That happens anyway. Build versioning. So each new build, you've got to increment to a higher version. Just add one normally. A lot of beginners forget about this and wonder why it's not publishing. We have at Codemagic some open source CLI tools. So this just gives us some easy command, this App Store Connect. How do you do it?
It's not in my head, but I know it's much more
This is quite easy. It looks quite long, but it's just App Store Connect, get latest test flight build number, and then pass in the App Store ID, increment by one, job done. Right, just be aware, guys. 24th of April. Make sure you're using Xcode 16 or later, and make sure the SDK you're using is 18 for iOS, iPadOS, tvOS, visionOS 2, or watchOS 11. If you don't do that, your application submission will get rejected by Apple. So at Codemagic, we've got the machines ready. We've got Xcode 16.3. Shouldn't have a problem. Right, to wrap up, we're going to talk about something new from Codemagic. So sorry, this is a shameful plug about something that we are introducing called Simulator Preview. So basically, this is going to give you the ability to preview your apps directly in Codemagic, running on iOS simulators and Android emulators, with the ability to share your apps via a web URL. So you'll run your CI/CD pipeline, it'll produce a .app or a .apk. You can then click on a button. If I'd come prepared, I would have this in the browser for you. Maybe I could show it. Let's see. This is going off piste now. Let's just see if we can do it. All right. Can anybody see a Codemagic folder? Let's go to apps. Let's go to apps. And then, oh, this looks promising. Right, so I ran this build 2 months ago. So it doesn't matter when you ran the build, as long as you've created a application, you get this quick launch button. And if all goes well, it's spinning up a simulator in our data center. It's taking the .app binary, and then it's giving us, in this case, the simple Flutter application for you to play around with. Things that we're going to be able to do. This is actually in closed beta at the minute, so it's pretty new. But you'll be able to do things like setting custom GPS coordinates. You'll be able to rotate device, take screenshots, video, etc. We're trying to make it easy to share your apps with project stakeholders, managers, devs, QA, and then just give them a URL that they can go to share, and then use this for about 20 minutes per session. So it just gives you an easier way to do it. But it's all built into your CI/CD workflow. My God, it's amazing. Right, thank you. I think we are probably, yes, we are. So build, test. Oh, you're good. Preview, deploy. If you want to follow me on X, I'm Kev Suda, LinkedIn, Kevin Suhajda. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Kevin.
Question?
I think we have time for questions. If there's any questions, I'll pass this mic around and you'll stay up here.
I do have a question, but I'd like to say how much I like Codemagic. We've been using it for about 2 years. I tried to do it on my own, and I spent months and was totally unsuccessful. I switched to Codemagic and boom.
Wow, brilliant.
And if you're not using Codemagic, you're doing it the hard way.
Absolutely. Top tip.
The way we do it, we're using GitHub Actions, and we're using your API, REST API to get it done. But I haven't been using the cache. And we have a team of 4 people on my little startup web app, and one of them is a Flutter developer. So we don't publish all that often. How long is your cache for?
14 days.
Yeah, never mind.
No. You could put it into S3.
Never
And
mind.
download it.
Never mind.
No worries.
Any other questions? I have one.
Put one over here.
Here. Yeah.
I'm amazed as an ex-Apple person how fast you speeded up the actual performance on Apple stuff. And that's a language discussion I can't have in public. What do you think some of the other things that may be bottlenecks generally in technology around speeding up the ability to load? Because the hardware is super fast. If you're tied to iOS, you're in trouble. But general web languages and some of the things that other people are doing in Flutter and WebSockets and local browser database, AppCache, browser cache, Timcache stuff. Where do you see us being able to even talk to VMs and in the Flutter and other web standard communities being able to really help optimize around what Apple's limited generally in the performance they're getting? Because
Performance of machines.
yeah.
Good question. Oh, yeah. Got me.
What are some of the things that could make it better? We can offline it.
It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm having trouble thinking, so I'll talk to you afterwards. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
I've got a question. So you guys, I know you have really good Flutter tooling, really good for React Native as well. I assume also for native iOS and native Android. Like those are all customers that you serve.
Yeah, so basically we're serving, as you say, native iOS and Android, Flutter, React Native, Unity, .NET MAUI. Basically anything that's mobile, we're focused on it. So we don't really focus on web. There's solutions that focus on that more. We are a solution that's focused on having the latest version of Xcode installed, making sure we've got Android Studio up to date, making sure we've got, like, Flutter is pre-installed on a machine, so you're not waiting for it to be installed when you start up a CI pipeline. If you do it with another solution provider, they'll probably make you install it and waste time. Hello? Oh, yeah. Old versions, yeah. So we generally keep the last 4 versions of Xcode. And if there's like a new release, like a beta release, like 16.3 was released as beta, we had it on the machines the day after, so you can use it as an edge release. Whereas I hate to say it, but like GitHub Actions generally, it's a bit slow updating machines, so you could be waiting a few months. So potentially for the guys who are in trouble for April 24th, I don't know if they've got those machines updated yet. They may have they. So they're not as bad as they used to be then. So there you go.
We did a Codemagic release now.
Okay.
Through GitHub.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Are you a drop-in replacement for Fastlane or?
We're developing in that area. So Fastlane has obviously got a lot of how to say maturity. We are developing what we call our Codemagic CLI tools, and over time we're going to try and equal what Fastlane does. So our belief is that Ruby and Fastlane may not be as well supported in the future going forward. We don't know. But
They have Fastlane Swift still in beta too.
yeah. So yeah, that's true. But what we're planning to do is develop our CLI tools to sort of match the things that they do. Fastlane is a great tool. We support it. It's pre-installed on our machines. So if you're using Fastlane, you can lift it and shift it straight to Codemagic and just keep running. Some teams use it for, particularly for Fastlane Match, making sure if you're like an agency of 80 guys, that they can set up any project and get the sign-in certificates onto their machine easily, so they'll continue using that. Or they haven't got time to work out how to set it up in Codemagic, and they'll just go from one provider to another provider. So it could be various reasons. Cost, for example, is the biggest one. They'll just say, want to use somebody else, come to Codemagic, set it up.
And you have built caching feature.
Yeah, so you get 10 gigabytes of cache per workflow, and that will generally regenerate after 14 days, or you can manually clear it within the web UI. Cool. There were some guys at the back with their hands up. I saw you.
I don't know if it's I was gonna ask you afterwards when it would be just you and I, but I guess he called me out. So right now, my team, we use Jenkins, which calls a script, which calls Fastlane, which makes our APK and IPA and whatever we need to do with our integration tests as well. If I were to create a business need to switch from what I have set up right now to Codemagic, what are the biggest pros and cons with doing that? Like, obviously we need to invest money to switch to Codemagic, but like,
So you've got Jenkins at the moment, have you?
Yeah. I like, out of curiosity, what's
Yeah,
your
I
business
mean,
need for something like this?
A lot of people using Jenkins fall into two camps. The ones that want to get rid of Jenkins because they don't want to maintain it and look after it or write any scripts for it, and they just want to change to a cloud-based provider. But then you've got the ones that are using Jenkins for everything, including all the web apps, and they won't get rid of it. But then Codemagic becomes an extension of Jenkins. So Jenkins will be calling Codemagic via the API. They'll be running the build to get the binary and the .apk, and Jenkins stays in place. So we've got customers doing this hybrid approach as well. Works very well. So you've got that option.
All right, so this is my first time speaking in public, so don't judge me. Yeah, be gentle and don't judge me. Paul advised me to make up a joke, but I came up with a joke, so it should be somewhere in the middle. So let's get started. So a little bit about me. I am self-taught iOS engineer. I had only 3 years of experience, so I'm not that skilled much, but I try to utilize all my knowledge to share with you in the field I'm passionate about, such as the building the native and beautiful user experience in mobile apps using the reusable components and scalable systems. So while you're building the small or big app, at some point you will see that you are using the same components on different screens. So you want to actually reuse these components and make them as much customizable as possible. So why design systems? The first is the decreasing the files in the main project. So basically you are unloading all the UI files away from the main project, which will decrease its build time and also the complexity. Another one, reusing across the products. So for example, if you're building the apps which share the same design, it's obviously better to keep the old designs in one place and just share it via SPM. If you're using Cocoa Pods, there are two options. You are a large corporation or you're outdated. Yeah, this is the joke. So yeah. And the other one, the third one is the logic separation. When you're building the UI in the main project, you have this tension to put some business logic inside the UI components. When you build the library for the UI, you don't have this option because you don't have access to the main project. It's like its methods or classes. The common use case will be the multi-app product ecosystems like client and Dasher app as a DoorDash, or boilerplate app for the barbershops. For example, if you're agency and building like white label apps, you want to build fast and you have like common shared design system for a specific type of the app. So let's see this. If you can see it clearly, these three screens, they have one element in common, which is the card with the icon, the text content, and some action button or no action button. And the most naive solution would be just create three separate structures for these components and just like use them. But as an engineer, you want to optimize your code to be, it should be also scalable and maintainable. So let's name this card as a container card. And you can see here, we have options to put emoji or an image on the left side. Also, we have the optional text on the bottom on the bottom of the title. And on the right side, there is the action content, which could be the button with the icon or text button or nothing at all. So let's go to the demo itself. This is like the base structure of the design package. It starts from the package file where you define the platform, the supported platforms. In my case, it's iOS 16 minimum, and some useful targets if you will add up some custom fonts or another dependencies, you need to put them here.
Yes, so people can't read that.
Absolutely. Okay. All the design files, they are going into the source folder and under the name of the package. In my case, it's FinTech Kit. So here you can see I already created the badges, the button styles, and containers. Also the helper enums and the extensions. The design system, it's not only about the components. It also stores some essential, I would say, helpers, which will help you to build the design. In my case, it's color. So I'm using the custom extension for the color, which can like define the color by its hex number. It's way easier, in my opinion, because like in Figma file, it's always with the hex. And instead of like using RGBA, you're just typing the hex, and here we go. And also you see the the main difference that before each structure, before each type, whether a structure or extension, you need to put the public, and you define that this structure or like the structure will be shared in the library. I made the hex initializer is private, so when I will import the library, I won't be able to use it. It's only like for the external development. And the font extension, it's just the ease of using the system font. Instead of like using .system, the name of the font, I just like moved them to name of the font, and it's font weight, regular to bold. So let's go to the container card. This is the main component which will be shared. It's also the public struct. because yeah, it will be shared in the main project. And as you can see, the container card starts with the FK. It's like a good tone to name the components same as your project, because if you forgot the name of some component, it's easier to enter FK and see the list, and you can basically like come up with the name using this hints. So let's see our properties. Basically, it's the icon, title, text, and action content. The icon has the custom type, which named icon configuration, which can support either emoji or SwiftUI image structure. It also like can be modified based on the design rules and which I say customization options you need. So let's go back to the container card. For the action content, we're using the generic view, and we built two initializers, which will have the action content or no. If I will neglect the the initializer where I'm not defining the action content, I will have to build the component like this, using this nasty structure. In my case, it will be never. So you see, it's more like nice and beautiful looking. Our initializer will have the icon configuration, title, optional text, and the view builder, which will be our action content. This is the base implementation. If you're working with SwiftUI, you should be like pretty familiar how to create the views. And this is the optional unwrapping it's unwrapping the optional action content on the right side. And there's the example how we will be using these components. So we have because of this flexible configuration, we can build various options of the single structure. Like we can use emoji or system image, button, no button, like any type designer wants. Instead of building multiple structures, we're using one structure with the multiple ways to design it. So you can see here the sample implementations with the emoji type of the image, the system image with the action button, or without it. So let's go to the main project. I'll say it will be like demo small project where you import your design system library, and you will be using these components pretty easy, just using import, in our case, fintech kit. And this is the implementation. So actually, we are basically binding all the onboarding options in our case, and it has the action content button, which you can update. Basically you can change it from the like arrow to, I don't know, any image you want. In other screen, this is the different implementation where instead of the icon button, you're using the text one, and you can easily replace it by changing like image system name. For simplicity, it's gear, and our button style is card icon button style. You can see it's basically changed. Once the designer pushed the update, you easily changing the types without like going deeper to the view implementation. And the last one, the last sample one is the card without any text or action button, and it only has the title. And I add the property like is support. So for example, if we don't have support for the specific currency, we can just add the action content. And so like if currency is support. We'll say no support. And let's make color purple. And here, now we are not supporting the Australian dollar. So as a recap, building the design system and systems and uploading the UI components into the separate library gives you the flexibility to play around with the different screens without increasing the complexity of your main project. And also it will be easier to update any design component once the update has come. And once you ship the new version of the library, it will be updated all across the main project. This is pretty much it. So if you have any questions, yeah.
Any questions right here?
Say you have an existing app that doesn't use these design systems. Why would you think they should switch to this new version? Like, is there some critical moment, or is it that more like a strategic decision?
All right. So speaking of the experience of my past internship at the startup, which has like at the startup, they are not using this approach. And basically, when you want to when you want to update some UI component, you will have the issues when the business logic is inside the structure. And if you make updates, it can break something at some screen. And by using the design system, you're isolating the business logic from the UI logic, which will be which will make easier to you to update some designs without actually breaking the business logic. So it's both strategically and like performance-wise a good approach.
Thanks.
Hi, how you doing? Great work, by the way. If this is your first presentation, you can barely notice. So congratulations. One quick question or two, actually. So first, I guess, is how do you balance, making everything a component versus like pre-mixing things with like Swift UI views, like this idea of like allowing, like mixing things that are coming with the system versus just bringing everything into the component world to just guarantee that there's like design consistency. Where do you draw that line, right? And that's the first question. And the second question is if you had to deal with theming, like having multiple different color schemes, how did you handle that if you had to do it? Thank
you. Okay, so I will answer the second question first. Speaking of color themes, you can define the color themes inside your design system, like creating the enum of themes or variable or synetic tokens for the colors. And once the theme is changed in the main project, it will pull up all the color tokens from the design system. So this was like the sample app, but if you're speaking of the like production grade solution, you are binding the themes into design library by creating the color tokens. And can you repeat the first question?
Yeah, sure. It's where do you draw the line between like not over componentizing, what I mean? It's just making up a term here, but the idea of like how do you make a balance between like making everything a component, right, versus like probably supporting some Swift UI mix when you are proposing like building code using a design system?
I will say that for the small apps, it could be over-engineering at the first glance, but in the long game, it will be much more convenient for you to keep different models isolated in case you want to pivot quickly or, I don't know, change the direction of your app structure or design. it will be more efficient to fix like one module instead of breaking down and like untying all the connections. So once you want to like scale up, it's good to consider moving all your UI to the design package.
Thank you.
Any other question? Oh yeah, right here.
In your experience, do you have a monorepo kind of style where all those packages are in the same repo locally, or you have a remote package, as in you publish the package in the remote and then you pull them in one single project?
Right. So for each app I'm building, I try to create the separate design package because like each design is unique. However, if you are building like white label apps, for example, like generic, I don't know, local barbershop app, which will have the same UI concepts. Yeah, I will have like the specific design package with the elements which will be related to the type of the app. And yeah, if I correctly understood your question. No? Yes?
Any other questions? One online. Yeah, Ed, you want to chime in with your question? I saw it come through, but then it disappeared.
I can just ask it. So would it be practical to put the design system basically into a package? You know, maybe giving you the option of swapping to different design system implementations by swapping the package?
So
Or
if you want to like swap the package entirely, yeah, it will like ruin your project because there will be different variables. However, like I don't have any specific example like practical where you had to switch the design libraries because each app is kind of unique. So you are building like the design for one app, and which it should be used only in one app, not unless you're like building the white labeled solutions.
that's a possibility to be white labeled, but another might be you're doing development work, so you want to maybe style it differently in some way so you can tell you're in the dev versus you're in production. But are there any gotchas then if we were to take the design system itself and just isolate it into a package in terms of namespaces or anything like that?
I will say I don't have the answer for right now for this question, but yeah, I will say the one catch doing this, yeah, if your app is small and relevantly not aiming to scale, this is not the like best option in terms of like spending time thinking how to isolate each component and make it reusable. So yeah, this is the only catch I can like come up right now.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, last question, then we're gonna move on.
So do you think it's worthwhile when you start out with one app, right? So maybe you want to build a white label, but you only have one client. Will you think worthwhile just split up even within your project and say, this package is just all the styling stuff, the component, and here I'm going to reference to it and just use it? Would that be like you would recommend to start out like that rather than splitting into two different projects?
I will say it's when you start adding more dependencies in your project, it's not a good practice. So I would stay away from this approach and like utilize the one like design system for the one app, like making one-to-one connection, unless you are providing the sample, I would say like spacings, default like boilerplate elements. It could be like as one package, one small package. The other like colors, fonts, could be another one. But the less dependencies you have, the better your project will be in general.
If I may too, I think there's a tendency to pre-optimize. That might not be the right word, but you're planning ahead for a need that you might not know you have. And so we as software engineers love to make everything super elegant, but that can lead to like pre-optimizing things that don't need to be. So I think you have to strike that balance of when to do it or not. And so I agree, probably too early in that case, and then you can decide what you're going to break out for the different customers later down the road. That's how I do it, at least. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to overcomplicate things too early, but yeah. Awesome. Give it up for Michael, everybody. Great first talk. That was great.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna have Chris come back up and
And just a quick. So
yeah.
on the right side, it's the my socials. On the left side here, this is the project I'm building. This is the tool for the iOS engineers, specifically if you're independent developer or a small company without a designer. This is the curated directory of the reusable and top pixel design components made with Swift UI, which you can just copy and paste to your project without any dependencies. So it's like basically open source collection of the designs, which are well crafted and aim to be reusable. Yeah.
Here we are. My name is Vadim. I came from London, as it's already said. I hear my voice. Yeah, I shouldn't now. That's a slide from my presentation and the demo. So let's see what I have here. It's like a Flutter, Gemini, Dart, and some strange thing. Probably someone already tried that strange thing, but I found it pretty recently. So let's start it from here. That's a QR code. If you want, you can scan it. If you don't, no worries. It will explain who am I, and then it will show you what I want to do here. So first and first, I've started as Android, and then I switched to Flutter. Right now, as you can see, I'm speaking and writing. That's my fancy hat. Today, I don't have it. That's why I have my Flutter blazer. Also, recently, I became HD, and from Ukraine and UK. That's pretty it. But this QR will show what we really want to do. That's what we want to do. Oh, I can return it. Yeah, I can return it. And that's what I want to do. It is actually my profile. I will switch here. That's my LinkedIn. I'm clicking my Linktree. My Linktree is super boring because it's a third-party thing. I was like, okay, I can do it probably, but I'm lazy and I don't have time. I bought a domain, which is called vpinch.uk. It's like not right in UK here, but you can guess it's UK in the end. I can show it to you. Let's show it here. Vpinch, yeah, here we are. It's my domain. Now, I was like, yeah, should I create the same thing I have in Linktree? Yeah, I probably should, but I'm lazy. And that's why I'm here, to give a talk about prototyping Flutter applications. And it's not just prototyping. Probably some of you already heard about Project IDX. And right now, after recent announcements, it's a Firebase Studio, not just because it has some connection to Firebase, but it's kind of VS Code and Studio. So we'll try to do that in this studio. But first, let's see what are the reasons to look into that. First and first, it's fully on cloud. So you can have this bad laptop. I mean, like, it's not bad laptop, it's old laptop. And it's not that powerful. So it's not M1, M4, and something. You just need the internet connection. That's it. It's a real-time thing. Yeah, you don't need to save anything. It's already there. Good or bad, I don't know. We'll see. You can work with AI. It's built in. Just use it. And it's for free, almost. You can have built-in Firebase. I wrote the Fire because Firebase was too long. That's it. So built-in means you don't need to do an extra effort. It's just there. and it's easy start. You can get a free workspaces, you can get free Gemini, you can get almost everything for free. If you have a Google developer account, you can get like up to 10 workspaces. If you don't have, you can have up to 3. I think that's more than enough to try and to prototype, to do prototyping, whatever. And where we can start from? Maybe you've heard about Flutterflow. Yeah, I've been to their office today. No, nice guys. They're doing really interesting thing. It's like low code development or no code development. And while speaking over the conferences, I've heard the same question. People were asking like, is it possible to import project into Flutterflow or export project from Flutterflow? And for a long time, it was answered like, no, not really. And it's understandable because it's hard to convert your code into components Flutterflow has. But it's not about Flutterflow anymore. It's about Firebase Studio. So in a Firebase Studio, it's possible. But first, you can just create new templates there, easy peasy. You can import a project if you have. It's just like a remote on cloud VS Code. So just import the code there and use it. You can also do a prototyping stuff with AI, which is cool. We'll see how cool it is. You can also export your project, as an archive, or you can just download it to GitHub, which is also convenient. So prototyped works, cool. Deploy to GitHub or deploy, push it to GitHub, and that's it. So let's play with it, I guess. And it's Raccoon for those who knows. So let's play with this. As I said, I want to have this website, whatever. I have a screenshot of it. I did it in advance today, so I won't show too much. I'll close my LinkedIn because we don't need it. Here's a Firebase Studio. So what I see, we can just create new workspace. It's boring. You can import. We don't want to do that because it's boring as well. We want to do a stuff. Let's work with that. Let me open desktop. Here we are. My screenshot, if you can see it. It's small, but still visible. What should we ask here for? Obviously, Flutter application, because I'm in Flutter and I like Flutter. So let's try to make really nice prompt. So create a Flutter project which will implement the same UI as it is shown on the screenshot. Attached. Let's try. Good enough. Oh yeah, it's good enough. So prompt is going to be really big, and I'm not a prompt engineer. Sorry, I'm really bad with AI, but I will try to do my best. So as on the screenshot, let's respect component design and design system. So repetitive components should be in a separate file and reused where possible. So at least let's try to make design system. No, design system is really cool, so it's good to have some. Yeah, sorry. Okay, then what do we wanna? Okay, yeah. Instead of images, use placeholders because we don't really know, and instead, I'm just laggy. Oh, instead of links, do nothing. So let's return back repetitive components. We are returning back and saying use custom components, not existing ones. Custom components, existing ones like material or Cupertino, just to make it more complex. Yep, instead of images, use placeholders, Cupertino. Instead of links, do nothing. Move strings. Oh, I'm trying to do it as good as possible. Move strings into RB files and include localization. Let's try to make it good. Make it accessible with all the semantics. It's important. And just to check it out, again, create a Flutter project, which will implement the same UI as it is shown on the screenshot attached. Repetitive components should be in a separate file and reused where possible. Use custom components, use custom widgets, not existing ones, not the ones provided by the Flutter framework, like Material or Cupertino. Let's see. So with all the same semantics, I think it's good enough. I will just copy this. So for us to have the same prompt, I will place it here. It doesn't matter. Let's prototype it. What's cool? Firebase Studio will actually just try to analyze it and will create a blueprint. And we can check this blueprint and we can edit this blueprint and then agree or not agree or disagree or whatever. I'm not going to do any adjustments because it will take a long time. So it says like custom widgets, localization, accessibility, whatever. Sounds cool. Let's prototype this application. All this stuff, it already looks suspicious to me because I'm a Flutter developer and I see like CSS. Yeah. Let's give it some chance, at least a chance. Probably now you can guess why I have Dartpad in my presentation. Here. It's not me, and I'm not really sure what kind of model is provided for free. Probably when you have like paid version, it's going to be something better. But I also want to highlight Firebase Studio is in preview, so beta, so it's like not ready for proper usage. What do we have here? This is Next.js with the Flutter inspired. Okay, lovely. I would probably go to publish, but now let's see what kind of code, we have. I will decrease it a bit because we are not really interested in code. It's already run. Oh, can you do something? Oh yeah, it's activating extensions. It's doing all this stuff. Cool thing. Firebase looks like VS Code. If you used VS Code, you know it, like how to use it. I never used VS Code, so probably I will need to just understand it. There are hotkeys as well. And, but again, cool thing, it doesn't need the performant laptop. So this laptop probably will die with Android Studio, IntelliJ IDEA, whatever. It will just die. And if you will run any emulator, that's disaster. So let's see what kind of stuff we can build with the application provided. Can it be built here? Should be. It's README. Let's go to src lib. Where the app is. Whatever stuff. It's not Flutter. I'm a bit upset because last time I was doing that, it was building something and it was looking pretty good. So no, wait a sec, it's syncing something. It is somewhere there. So let's give it some time. I'm not going to be too harsh to this device. Probably let's refresh it. No. Okay, I'm not happy because it's not Flutter. So we're going to Gemini, to Dartpad. And it's no issue. That's why I'm presenting this in this way. We want to do the Flutter snippet. I'm just copying the same prompt. I'm adding image, the same image to Dartpad. What's Dartpad? It's a known Dart code editor, online editor, online. So actually, you don't need to have everything set up on your laptop as well, just to try simple things and to learn. As you can see, the sample code here is pretty simple. Here, a sandbox. We can say sandbox. Yeah, I'm not explaining that because I thought it's like new thing. known thing. Anyway, we're generating the same thing here, even though there are already templates, but let's generate the stuff in a Dartpad. And I want to say thank you to Puff for highlighting like how to do that easily from Flutterflow team, or maybe you know him as a Firebase guy, but right now he's Flutterflow guy. It's generating. I have no idea. I don't want to accept. I don't want to check it. I'm just accepting, and I want to see it works. It doesn't because we don't have the localizations. Let's fix it now. Probably localizations won't work. What's cool though, straight away from here, I can see clearly that it's a Flutter code. So we are just going to open it in Firebase Studio. Here we are. My application will be failed test at Meetup. No, Meta works. I will call it like this, and it's only one file. So Firebase Studio will generate the whole project from it. Give it some time.
So the Dart pad, that was essentially just making it a main.dart, I guess.
Yeah, just a single file. And ideally, you should be able just to run and see all the widgets, but obviously it doesn't have all the packages. Though, interesting thing, Dartpad actually generates the code using provider. By default, even when you don't ask it and you don't ask any state management, it says like provider, change notifier, so we'll work with this. Yeah, it just makes one file and we can, or we should leave with this. But no, by the way, nothing wrong with provider, to be honest. Simpler state management is easier or better for me, at least. More complex solutions. We had a chat with a nice person. I don't want to share the name because it's maybe not going to be cool. But he said, as soon as you're injecting some fancy state management and your project grows, you're becoming this state management developer rather than Flutter developer. So here we are. We have the whole project. It looks cool. It looks on the left as VS Code, as I said already. On the right, what we are getting for free? We are getting for free 2 emulators. So we are not really worried about running emulators, which are expensive from Android Studio. It's not working, of course, because something is broken. And luckily, we have Gemini here. And Gemini has an option to fix all the issues in main.dart related to imports and connect required packages into pub spec.yaml. We can call it wipe coding, actually, because yeah, if you know what you're doing, that's good. If you know something about the software development, it's also cool. But if you're just wipe coding, not even knowing the line of code in the Dart, it's a probably problem. Let me increase the oosh, not that much. So all these changes Gemini creates, we can review them. What's cool about it, we can review. I will just try to decrease this, close this. It says connect this one, import or swap them, remove that package, whatever. I trust it. Dart extension installing, of course. So we can install extensions. Yeah. But I was a bit in a different place with Gemini. Gemini, here we are. We are just, I trust you, so please update it. Please update it. Let's see. Preparing file changes in pub/spec.yaml. Go for that. Green light. Let's see how good it is. Running some scripts. We're still probably seeing issues. Let me just try to make it a bit nicer. What is this? Changes. Yeah, sorry, my bad. So main.dart here. We still don't see the localizations. I think I will just try to replace it with strings, not to make life more complex. So I will just replace it with just strings. Yeah. Replace any references with actual strings, even dummy ones with in main.dart. Yeah. Why we are saying it's a prototyping, because you can probably guess it's not the stuff we should do, but we are having fun here. And actually, when I was doing that at home, it was like 2, 3, 5 minutes. I don't remember exactly, but like it was working. And as always, as expected during the presentation or demo, live demo, it's just like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Let's see. Updating, whatever. I trust you. Okay, yeah, it updated with some cool stuff. Profile button. Do we have the profile button? It should be somewhere here. Profile screen, profile header, profile button. Okay, so we have the widgets. We have these localizations. Everything in one place, obviously. Now probably just some typos. I guess I will do that on my own, because you can see that not all the replacements are perfect. Text is finished here. We're just like removing this. Then what this text is, icon text, suspicious. So I'll replace this. It's a medium. Actually icon is a widget. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. My bad. I don't appreciate what AI did for me. Saving everything. Looks good. I don't have any errors. I hope so. And let's just open terminal. Can you see the terminal here? Ship it to production. Slow show logs. Try again. Start in preview. Yeah, that's a problem. Why I never used VS Code, because I was never able to find terminal there. Not only. And also I just got used to all the key maps from Android Studio as an Android engineer. Starting preview, give it some time. What's cool though, I'm checking my laptop battery. First, it's not loud. That's already great. It's not hot. That's what actually I wanted from it, because with Android Studio, it's a hell. Something happens. Something happened. Wow, yes. Okay. It's not that bad. Yeah! Thank you, Gemini. Thank you, Google. I want to thank everyone, and Google as well, and Gemini. Yeah, so actually what we can see, yeah, it's not making it like a font size, so it's not limiting by width, but it's not a big deal, I believe. And again, like if I will open it on my device, it's going to be fine. It's still kind of clickable. I don't really know what it used inside. If it was something material, let's see, because I asked to do not material. We have profile header and we have profile button. So I'm interested in profile button. It's still elevated button from material. Whatever. Okay. So Gemini decided not to do it in a way I asked, but that's what we can adjust here with Gemini in the Android, in the Firebase Studio. Sorry. Use custom widgets, and it's going to be mass probably instead of elevated button in main.dart. I hope it will work and it won't break anything, but let's see. Everything could happen. Though it's something I could actually already deploy and just publish on my personal domain. So to have the same Linktree application I had, but it's not a third party, but my own, and I can do whatever I want with this. Let's update and let's hope something will. Oh, custom profile button. Okay. Additional wrapper, whatever. I'm fine with this. Now it is Inkwell container with row. I'm not going to say it's super perfect. No, but it's still okay. Can we just save? Oh yeah, Command S works. So Command S will reboot the stuff, I guess. Let's reboot it on the Android Studio. Yeah, it's not highlighted on hover. It's not. Yeah, Inkwell is in a different location. Doesn't matter. So we can also suggest when you're developing with Flutter, you can already suggest like use a focusable action widget. Focusable action. Focusable action widget, I guess it's called. So you can already suggest to use specific widgets for specific purposes. And again, if you are more specific and you know what you want and you know how to do that, so it's kind of like explaining tasks to a junior developer who really knows not much, but really want to be helpful. And that's how you can convert your vibe coding into more or less reasonable and some kind of good prototyping. For me personally, I found it's pretty useful because other companies also trying to make their own tools, extensions, and whatever else with AI to convert design, to convert any screenshot to the application. And they work in the same way, more or less the same way. They're just using different models. For me, I found it's like for free. I can use it and it costs me nothing. Probably it costs Google for all these AI requests a lot, but as a developer, yeah, I'm fine. As a developer who want to have a prototype and just deploy it, I'm happy with this. What you will do next, you can probably just deploy it or push it to the source control, as I said. So just publish to GitHub, allow it to sign in. Of course, I will do this right now. No, I won't. So just deploy it and work with your colleagues on a project. There are some other things like you can also connect all the extensions for Firebase. I'm not going to do that because it will take time, and yeah, I don't want to expose all my Firebase things. But that's what I wanted to show you now. That's my happy raccoon. And I want to say thank you. If you want to learn a bit more about Firebase Studio, please scan the QR code. I mean, it's all public and it's pretty easy to understand everything from the documentation. I'm not making anything new here. If you're good.
Yeah, give it up for Vadim. Questions?
Oh,
So,
unexpected.
so Vadim, like you are showing this through the Firebase Studio, right?
Yeah.
So does it help us to create a Firebase collection for our for any app, or it is just creating the UI through that basically for Flutter application?
So actually, Firebase Studio is really cool because we can connect and also observe most of the Firebase functionality inside of it. I'm not saying everything because, for example, publishing GS application, dynamic application, you can do that like easy. If you're speaking about publishing application like mine, it's probably better to do that manually. Just call a few command line functions. Also possible to observe and to connect and observe some metrics, and Gemini can also help to actually just to suggest how to do that, and if needed, generate codes and connect codes where they need it. But yeah, I didn't investigated that part of the Firebase Studio because, as actually Clint knows, I've shown up like a few days just before this meetup, and I was like, yeah, let's chat about some fun stuff. So that's why I'm here. While probably investigation of all the Firebase functionality in the Firebase Studio and hopefully better Firebase Flutter project creation is a next step, an improvement to this talk and to the Firebase Studio as well.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I want to hear your opinion. Why don't these 5 coding platforms build mobile first, you think? You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Repeat,
please.
Are you saying because it made the JavaScript app first? Is that what you're talking about?
no, but imagine Fiber Studio iOS app where you can download from App Store and then you vibe code with your mobile apps. I'm just trying to bump idea. Why?
Oh. So to make like a native app that you could vibe code
exactly.
from
Instead of laptop.
Okay,
Why
that's what I mean.
Because we are mobile developers.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I can take a shot at that. I mean, I just don't think that's a use case. I don't think people are and maybe it is, but I don't think people are vibe coding from their iPhone. It's vibing. Yeah, why not?
I've seen a guy and actually at the conference who was running Android Studio on the PlayStation, little one. I was like, why? Like, it's for me personally, like, it's super uncomfortable. So I really prefer a screen, and you've probably seen these developers who has like lots of screens. So for work, for better understanding, better development, and better involvement. Yeah. Oh.
For me, it's like I'm in bed with Android Studio, like as an IDE, and even when I switch to VS Code, which is a super power IDE, I'm not used to the hot keyboards, like the keyboard shortcuts. So if I switch to a PlayStation on my phone, like it's gonna be way worse. Like
Probably like a bigger screen at least. You can actually run it in whatever emulator or whatever browser. So you can use your tablet, for example, but not a phone. I don't know. Never tried that. I will. Thank you.
Most of the world's users and most of the actual good telephony is phone network. So if you're doing anything really interesting around the world with distributed mobile users, you want to be able to have some editable browser-based items. You'll see a lot of the innovation that's coming on systems, and you'll see how they're using even voice. I know people do voice code, so it depends on what your use case.
Yeah, probably depends on use case and what kind of problem you're trying to solve here. What kind of problem you're trying to solve here, right? Thank you.
Vadim, I think you already answered the question of why web and not mobile. Remember when you talked about how Android Studio makes your computer warm and resource intensive?
Yeah.
I think this is a good reason why web is a bit cheaper and easier. So if you're running a VM on a which is on Android Studio, is very resource intensive compared to a web application. It's I would imagine more than tenfold more expensive to build these mobile
Probably
apps.
I misunderstood the question. So you were asking about having a separate application where you can code whatever code on your actual device or virtually on a remote cloud.
Yeah, I think that's what he was asking. Like if like a native iOS app for Firebase Studio.
I think, yeah, you would change your device pretty often and battery would die much faster. That's pretty resources.
You could cook an egg on the back of your phone.
Oh, whatever. I mean, probably you remember the times where Samsung devices were exploding in flights.
Yeah, the Samsung
Maybe
batteries.
they try to do something. Yeah.
LLMs are trained. Every year, Google and Apple update their APIs, ask us to do different things. They change it just a bit, and that means that the LLMs have to get retrained, relearned, retaught.
this stuff as opposed to reading a giant doc page, trying stuff out.
Yeah, no.
That takes time. That means that mobile stuff is still months behind.
Yeah.
Longer, because it's not like it's like massive GitHub repos of modern stuff. Like, you want to do Objective C? Cool. There's tons of stuff that longer. You want to do the latest suite? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Let's run LLMs on device as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Vadim.